Can you buy my cookies? The girl's heartful words brought a Hells Angels biker to tears. The Saturday afternoon in late September was unseasonably warm in Sacramento, California, with temperatures climbing into the low 90s despite autumn officially having arrived the week before. The Home Depot parking lot on Florin Road was busy with weekend warriors loading lumber, paint, and garden supplies into their vehicles, taking advantage of the nice weather to tackle home improvement projects before the rainy season began. Among the shoppers was Vincent Reaper Callahan, a 48-year-old member of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club Sacramento chapter, who had just purchased materials to repair his deck. Reaper was an imposing figure by any standard. Standing 6 feet 4 inches and weighing close to 280 pounds, most of it muscle from decades of construction work and dedicated gym time, he had the kind of presence that made people step aside when he walked past. His arms were covered in intricate tattoos, tribal designs, the Hells Angels death head patch prominently displayed on his right bicep, names of fallen brothers memorialized in Gothic script, and a large angel holding a sword across his back. His salt and pepper beard reached mid-chest, and his hair, what remained of it, was pulled back in a short ponytail. He wore his leather Hells Angels vest over a black t-shirt despite the heat, the vest adorned with patches documenting his 23 years in the club. Reaper had earned his road name not because he was particularly violent or dangerous, though he could handle himself when necessary, but because of his stoic, serious demeanor and his tendency to show up at the hospital or homes of brothers who were seriously ill or dying, providing quiet support and strength during their final days. He'd held the hands of 5 brothers as they'd passed away over the years, and each one had told their families that Reaper made them less afraid of what was coming. It was a heavy responsibility, but one Reaper accepted as part of his commitment to the brotherhood. As Reaper loaded 2x4s and decking materials into the bed of his pickup truck, he heard a small voice behind him. "Excuse me, sir." He turned around to find a little girl standing there, maybe 8 or 9 years old, with long blonde hair and a ponytail that was coming loose, wearing a Girl Scout uniform that had seen better days. The green vest hung loosely on her thin frame, and her khaki pants were slightly too short, revealing ankles that looked knobby and underfed. But it was her eyes that struck Reaper most, bright blue eyes that held both hope and exhaustion, the eyes of a child who'd been rejected too many times but was still brave enough to try again. "Can I help you?" Reaper asked, his naturally deep voice coming out gruffer than he intended. The girl took a small step back, clearly intimidated by his size and appearance, but she stood her ground. "Would you like to buy some Girl Scout cookies?" she asked, her voice wavering slightly. She held up a somewhat tattered order form and a pen, both clutched in small hands that trembled just a bit. Reaper's first instinct was to say no, he didn't particularly like sweets, and he was trying to eat healthier anyway. But something about this kid made him pause. "Where are your parents?" he asked, looking around the parking lot. A child this young shouldn't be wandering around alone approaching strangers. The girl gestured vaguely toward the other end of the parking lot. "My mom is over there, sitting on the bench. She can see me, but she's not feeling good today, so I'm doing the selling by myself." Reaper squinted in the direction she indicated and spotted a woman sitting on a bench near the store entrance, clearly watching them. Even from this distance, he could tell something was off about her, the way she slumped, the pallor of her skin visible even in the bright sunlight. "How many boxes you sold today?" Reaper asked, turning his attention back to the girl. Her face fell. "None yet. I've been here for 3 hours, and nobody wants to buy any. Most people just ignore me, or they say no really fast without even looking at me." There was such defeat in her voice, such weariness. "What's your name, kid?" Reaper asked. "Lily." "Lily Patterson," she replied, standing up a little straighter, as if saying her name gave her renewed strength. "Well, Lily Patterson, tell me about these cookies," Reaper said, gesturing to her order form. Lily's face lit up immediately, hope returning to those blue eyes. "We have thin mints, and Samoas, those are my favorites, and tagalongs, and trefoils, and duocidos." She was speaking quickly now, excited to finally have someone listening. "They're $6 a box, and the money helps my troop do activities and also helps girls in other countries get education and stuff." It sounded like a memorized pitch, but she delivered it with genuine enthusiasm. "How many boxes you need to sell?" Reaper asked. Lily consulted her order form. My troop leader says we each need to sell at least 50 boxes. I've only sold 12 so far, and the deadline is next week. She bit her lip, and Reaper could see she was fighting back tears. Last year I sold 75 boxes and won a prize. But this year, it's been harder. Reaper suspected he knew why this year was harder: the sick mother on the bench, the worn uniform that suggested financial struggles, the general air of a family barely hanging on. I'll take 40 boxes, Reaper said abruptly. Lily's eyes went wide. 40 boxes? That's $240, she said, as if she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Can you do math that fast in your head? Reaper asked with a slight smile. My mom says I'm good with numbers, Lily said proudly, then her expression shifted to concern. But are you sure? That's a lot of cookies. Where will you keep them all? Reaper chuckled, a sound that rumbled from deep in his chest. I've got a big clubhouse with a lot of brothers who eat like they've never seen food before. Trust me, those cookies will disappear in about 3 days. Lily carefully wrote down his order on her form, her small hand shaking slightly with excitement or nerves or both. What kinds do you want? She asked. You pick. Give me a mix of whatever you think is best, Reaper said. As Lily wrote down the order, distributing the 40 boxes across the different varieties, Reaper pulled out his wallet. He counted out 12 $20 bills and handed them to her. Lily stared at the money as if it might disappear. Thank you so much, sir. This really helps. I only need to sell 10 more boxes now to meet my goal. Her joy was palpable, infectious even. But then her expression changed, becoming more serious, more vulnerable. Can I ask you something? She said quietly. Sure, kid. What's on your mind? Reaper replied. Lily glanced back at her mother on the bench, then looked up at Reaper with those impossibly blue eyes, and what she said next hit him like a punch to the gut. Would you buy cookies from me every month? Not because you want cookies, but because my mom is really sick, and we need the money. She can't work anymore, and I'm trying to help, but I'm just a kid and I don't know how to make money except selling cookies and doing chores for neighbors. The words tumbled out in a rush, as if Lily had been holding them in for so long that they finally burst free. The Girl Scout money goes to the troop, not to me, but I thought if I could be really good at selling, maybe they'd give me more cookies to sell, and then maybe somehow I could help Mom more. I know it doesn't make sense, but I don't know what else to do. Everyone says kids can't work, and Mom tries to hide how sick she is, but I know. I see her. And I'm scared. By the end of her confession, tears were streaming down Lily's face, and she was trying desperately to wipe them away with the back of her hand. Reaper felt his own eyes burning, moisture gathering in ways he hadn't experienced in years. He'd seen hardened criminals break down, he'd watched brothers die, he'd dealt with violence and tragedy and loss, but this small child trying to save her mother with Girl Scout cookie sales, this destroyed him. He crouched down to Lily's level, his knees protesting the movement, and placed one large, tattooed hand gently on her shoulder. Hey, it's okay. You're doing an amazing job trying to help your mom. That takes real courage, he said softly. But I can't help her enough, Lily sobbed. The cookies don't make enough money, and Mom says we're going to lose our apartment next month because she can't pay rent, and I don't know where we'll go. She tries to tell me it'll be okay, but I hear her crying at night when she thinks I'm asleep. Reaper felt a tear escape and roll down his cheek, disappearing into his beard. Here was this child, 8 or 9 years old, carrying the weight of the world on her small shoulders, trying desperately to fix a situation that no child should have to face. Lily, look at me, Reaper said firmly but kindly. She raised her tear-stained face to his. You are not alone in this anymore. I'm going to help you and your mom. But first, I need to talk to her. Is that okay? Lily nodded, hope and fear warring on her face. She's embarrassed about needing help. She might say no, Lily warned. Let me worry about that, Reaper said. He stood up, his full height even more imposing now, and walked with Lily across the parking lot toward the bench where her mother sat. As they approached, Reaper got a better look at Mrs. Patterson. She was probably in her mid-30s but looked older, with blonde hair similar to Lily's but streaked with gray and pulled back in a messy bun. Her face was gaunt, her skin had an unhealthy pale yellow tinge, and dark circles under her eyes spoke of pain and sleepless nights. She wore jeans and a sweatshirt despite the heat, and Reaper noticed she was shivering slightly. When she saw Reaper approaching with Lily, Mrs. Patterson's eyes widened with alarm, this massive, tattooed biker walking toward her with her daughter. She struggled to stand, clearly in pain from the effort, her face defensive and protective. "Lily, come here," she said urgently. "It's okay, Mom. He bought 40 boxes of cookies." 40. Lily said excitedly, running to her mother's side. Mrs. Patterson's expression shifted from fear to confusion to cautious relief. 40 boxes? That's wonderful, honey. She looked at Reaper, uncertainty in her eyes. "Thank you, sir. That's very generous." Reaper nodded. "Ma'am, I'm Vincent Callahan. Everyone calls me Reaper. Your daughter and I just had a conversation, and she told me about your situation. I'd like to help if you'll let me." Mrs. Patterson's face flushed with embarrassment. "Lily, what did you tell him?" she asked, her voice sharp with mortification. "I'm sorry, Mom, I was trying to help," Lily said, tears starting again. Mrs. Patterson's expression immediately softened, and she pulled Lily close. "I know, baby. I know you were." She looked back at Reaper, pride and desperation warring on her face. "Mr. Callahan, I appreciate your kindness in buying the cookies, but we don't need charity." "With respect, ma'am, I think you do," Reaper said gently but firmly. "And there's no shame in accepting help when you need it. What's your name?" "Jennifer." "Jennifer Patterson," she replied, her defenses beginning to crumble. "Jennifer, what's wrong? Medically, I mean. What's making you sick?" Reaper asked directly. Jennifer hesitated, clearly debating how much to reveal to this stranger. Finally, she sighed, the fight going out of her. "Liver disease. Cirrhosis. Not from drinking, I've never been a drinker. It's autoimmune. My immune system is attacking my liver. I need a transplant, but I'm on a waiting list, and in the meantime, I'm getting sicker. I can't work anymore. I used to be a dental hygienist, but I'm too weak now, and the medication makes me foggy." "What about Lily's father?" Reaper asked. Jennifer's expression hardened. "He left when I got diagnosed. Said he didn't sign up to be a caregiver. Last I heard, he was in Arizona with a new girlfriend. He doesn't pay child support. I've tried to pursue it legally, but I don't have the energy or money for that fight." Reaper felt anger rising in his chest, at the deadbeat father, at the disease ravaging this woman, at a system that left families to fend for themselves in situations like this. "How long before you lose your apartment?" he asked. "End of next month. I'm 2 months behind on rent. The landlord has been patient, but he can't wait forever." Jennifer's voice was flat, defeated. Reaper made a decision. "I'm going to help you. And before you say no again, let me explain something. I'm part of a brotherhood, the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club. We have a reputation, some of it deserved, some not. But one thing we believe in is helping people in our communities who need it. We do toy drives for kids at Christmas, we help veterans, we support families in crisis. You and Lily are a family in crisis. So I'm going to make some calls, talk to my brothers, and we're going to figure this out." Jennifer stared at him, tears now streaming down her own face. "Why would you do that for us? You don't even know us." Reaper gestured to Lily, who was watching the exchange with wide, hopeful eyes. "Your daughter asked me to buy cookies, and when I did, she thanked me and then asked if I'd buy more every month because she's trying to save you. An 8-year-old kid trying to save her mother with Girl Scout cookies." Reaper's voice cracked, and he wiped his eyes, not bothering to hide the tears anymore. "That broke something open in me. I've got a daughter about Lily's age when I joined the club. If I'd been sick, she would have done the same thing. How can I walk away from that? Jennifer broke down completely then, sobbing, and Lily wrapped her small arms around her mother. Reaper stood there, this massive biker with tears running into his beard, watching this family that had touched his heart in ways he couldn't fully explain. "Give me your phone number," he said when Jennifer had composed herself slightly. "I'm going to call you tomorrow with a plan. Don't make any decisions about the apartment yet. Don't give up. We're going to fix this." Jennifer gave him her number with shaking hands, still unable to fully process what was happening. As Reaper walked back to his truck, Lily ran after him. "Mr. Reaper," she called out. He turned around. "Yeah, kid? Thank you. For the cookies. And for caring," she said, her voice small but sincere. Reaper crouched down one more time, looking her in the eyes. "You're a brave girl, Lily. Don't ever forget that. You tried to save your mom in the only way you knew how. That's heroic. Now you've got help. You're not alone anymore." Lily hugged him then, her small arms barely reaching around his massive frame, and Reaper hugged her back carefully, mindful of his strength. As he drove away from the Home Depot parking lot, Reaper had to pull over because he couldn't see through his tears. He sat in his truck for 10 minutes, crying like he hadn't cried in decades, releasing emotion he didn't even know he'd been holding. Lily's words echoed in his mind, "Can you buy my cookies?" Such a simple question, but underneath it was so much pain, so much fear, so much desperate love for her mother. Those heartfelt words had brought a Hell's Angel to tears, and they would change multiple lives in ways none of them could yet imagine. That evening, Reaper called an emergency meeting of the Hell's Angels Sacramento chapter. 22 members showed up at the clubhouse, a nondescript building on the outskirts of town that served as their headquarters. The clubhouse was decorated with motorcycling memorabilia, photographs of fallen brothers, the Hell's Angels death head insignia prominently displayed, and various patches and awards the chapter had earned over the years. The members gathered in the main meeting room, curious about why Reaper had called them together on a Saturday night. Reaper stood before his brothers and told them about Lily and Jennifer. He described the encounter in the parking lot, Lily's brave attempt to help her mother by selling cookies, Jennifer's terminal illness and impending homelessness, and the moment when Lily's heartfelt question had brought him to tears. "Brothers, I don't ask for much," Reaper said, his voice still rough with emotion. "But I'm asking now. This family needs us. This little girl is trying to save her dying mother with $6 boxes of cookies. We have the power to actually save them. So I'm asking, will you help me help them?" The room was silent for a moment. Then the chapter president, a man called Nomad, stood up. "Brother, you even have to ask. Of course we're helping them. That's what we do. That's who we are." A chorus of agreement filled the room, members nodding and voicing their support. "What do they need most urgently?" asked another member. "Wrench, the club's go-to mechanic." Reaper had thought about this on the drive to the clubhouse. "Rent, they're 2 months behind and will be evicted next month. Medical expenses, Jennifer needs medication and treatment while she waits for a transplant. Basic necessities, food, utilities, things like that. And longer term, they need stable housing and support until Jennifer either gets a transplant or..." He didn't finish the sentence, but everyone understood. "How much is the rent?" Nomad asked. "I don't know yet. I'm meeting with Jennifer tomorrow to get all the details," Reaper replied. "Doesn't matter. We'll cover it. Everyone kicks in what they can. We've done this before," Nomad said decisively. Members immediately started pulling out their wallets, tossing bills and checks onto the table. Within minutes, over $3,000 in cash and pledges sat on the table. Reaper felt his throat tighten with gratitude and pride in his brothers. But one member, a younger guy named Spark, raised a concern. "Look, I'm all for helping them, but we need to think long-term here. We can pay a few months' rent, but if Jennifer is terminal, what happens to Lily when her mom dies? The kid can't live alone. Does she have family?" It was a harsh question but a necessary one. "I'll find out tomorrow," Reaper said. "But you're right. We need a sustainable plan, not just a one-time handout. Another member, Doc, so nicknamed because he was actually a paramedic, spoke up. I can look into her medical situation. Liver transplants have gotten better over the years. If she's on the waiting list, there's hope. In the meantime, I can help coordinate her care, make sure she's getting the right treatment, maybe find programs that can help with medication costs. That would be huge, Reaper said gratefully. My old lady works for a property management company, Wrench added. I can talk to her about finding Jennifer and Lily a better apartment situation, maybe something more affordable or with a more understanding landlord. The ideas kept coming, each brother offering something, connections to social services, food donations, help with transportation, even offers to do maintenance work on Jennifer's apartment to keep the landlord happy. By the end of the meeting, they had the framework of a comprehensive support plan. One more thing, Reaper said as the meeting was wrapping up. That kid sold me 40 boxes of cookies because she's trying to reach her Girl Scout goal. I'm picking them up next week. Who wants cookies? Every hand in the room went up, and laughter broke the emotional tension. The next morning, Reaper called Jennifer and arranged to meet her at a coffee shop near her apartment. He wanted neutral ground where they could talk privately without Lily overhearing everything. When Jennifer arrived, she looked even worse than she had the day before. Clearly, standing in that parking lot for 3 hours had taken a toll. She sat down carefully, moving like every motion hurt, and ordered just water. Reaper ordered coffee for himself and insisted she eat something, ordering her a sandwich and soup. Where's Lily? Reaper asked. At a friend's house for a playdate. I wanted to talk to you without her hearing, Jennifer said. Good thinking, Reaper agreed. For the next hour, they talked. Jennifer told him everything, her diagnosis 3 years earlier, the rapid deterioration of her liver function, the financial devastation when she had to stop working, her ex-husband's abandonment, the mounting medical bills despite insurance, the impossible choice between rent and medication, and her growing certainty that she wouldn't live to see Lily graduate elementary school. What about family? Does Lily have grandparents, aunts, uncles? Reaper asked. Jennifer shook her head sadly. My parents died in a car accident when I was in college. I'm an only child. My ex's parents want nothing to do with us, they blame me for their son leaving, as if my getting sick was somehow my fault. There's nobody. The implications of this hit Reaper hard. If Jennifer died, Lily would likely end up in foster care, bouncing between homes, her childhood destroyed by circumstances beyond her control. How much is your rent? Reaper asked, pulling out a notepad. $1,200 a month. I'm 2 months behind, so I owe $2,400 immediately, plus next month's rent, Jennifer said. Reaper did the math, $3,600 total. The club had already raised $3,000 the night before. We'll cover that. What else? Jennifer stared at him. What do you mean, we'll cover that? That's $3,600. I told my brothers about you and Lily last night. They want to help. We're going to pay your back rent and next month's rent. That gives us time to figure out a longer-term plan, Reaper explained. Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. I don't understand why you're doing this. I can never pay you back. I'm dying. There's no investment here for you, no return. You're just giving us money. Reaper leaned forward. Jennifer, yesterday your 8-year-old daughter asked me to buy cookies with such hope in her eyes, and then she asked if I'd buy more every month because she's trying to save you. That question brought me to tears, actual tears, which I haven't shed in years. That kid's love for you, her bravery, her desperate attempt to help in the only way she knows how. I can't walk away from that. Neither can my brothers. We help people. It's part of who we are. You need help. We're providing it. It's that simple. Jennifer broke down crying, and Reaper sat quietly, letting her process. When she composed herself, she asked, "What do I have to do? What do you want from us?" "Nothing," Reaper said firmly. "No strings attached. Just take care of yourself and Lily. Let us help. That's all." They spent the rest of the meeting working out logistics. Reaper got Jennifer's landlord's information and medical details. He connected her with Doc, who would review her medical situation and help coordinate care. He took notes on her monthly expenses so the club could budget their ongoing support. Over the following weeks, the Hells Angels Sacramento chapter transformed Jennifer and Lily's lives. The rent was paid, eliminating the immediate threat of eviction. Doc coordinated with Jennifer's doctors and found a patient assistance program that reduced her medication costs by 70%. Wrench's wife found them a better apartment, a 2-bedroom unit in a safer neighborhood with a landlord who, after hearing their story, agreed to below-market rent. The club organized a move, with a dozen bikers showing up with trucks to relocate Jennifer and Lily's belongings. Members' wives donated furniture, clothes for Lily, kitchen supplies, and other household necessities. The club set up a monthly stipend for groceries and utilities, funded by member contributions and a fundraiser poker run they organized. Reaper became a regular presence in their lives, stopping by weekly to check on them, helping with tasks Jennifer couldn't manage, and becoming a sort of surrogate uncle to Lily. When Lily's Girl Scout cookies arrived, Reaper brought them to the clubhouse, where members descended on them like locusts. The 40 boxes he'd ordered were gone in 2 days, and several members asked Lily if she could get them more. Lily, thrilled to have such enthusiastic customers, ended up selling an additional 80 boxes to the Hells Angels and their families, far exceeding her troop's goal and winning the top seller prize that year. But the most significant development came 3 months after that parking lot encounter. Doc had been working behind the scenes, advocating for Jennifer with the transplant center, providing updated medical documentation, and ensuring she met all the requirements to stay active on the waiting list. In late December, Jennifer received the call. They had a liver for her. The surgery was scheduled for the day after Christmas. Reaper and several club members were at the hospital throughout the 12-hour procedure, keeping vigil with Lily, who stayed with Reaper's ex-wife. They'd remained friendly despite the divorce. The surgery was successful. Jennifer's body accepted the new liver, and while recovery would be long and difficult, her doctors were optimistic. When she was finally coherent enough to receive visitors, Reaper brought Lily to see her. Mother and daughter cried and hugged, and Jennifer thanked Reaper over and over. "You saved my life. Not just by helping with rent and bills, but by making sure I could stay on the transplant list, by coordinating my care, by giving me reasons to keep fighting," Jennifer said, tears streaming down her face. "No," Reaper said, gesturing to Lily. "She saved your life. She asked a stranger to buy cookies with such love and hope that it broke through my defenses and made me care. You've got an amazing daughter, Jennifer. She's a fighter, and she got that from you." Lily beamed with pride, and Reaper felt his eyes getting misty again, something that was happening more frequently since meeting this family. Jennifer's recovery took months, but she gradually regained her strength. By spring, she was well enough to return to work part-time at a dental office, one whose owner had heard her story and wanted to support her recovery with a flexible schedule. The Hells Angels continued their financial support during her recovery, gradually transitioning from full support to supplemental help as Jennifer's income increased. Within a year of her transplant, Jennifer was working full-time again and able to cover most of her expenses, though the club still helped with medical costs and unexpected emergencies. But something unexpected happened during that year. A bond formed between the Patterson family and the Hells Angels Sacramento chapter that went beyond financial assistance. Lily became the unofficial little sister of the club, attending events, charming hard-bitten bikers with her precocious intelligence and sunny personality. Jennifer, once she was healthy enough, began volunteering at the club's charity events, toy drives, veteran support programs, fundraisers. She became friends with many of the members' wives and girlfriends, finding a community she'd never had before. Reaper, for his part, found that helping Jennifer and Lily had awakened something in him, a sense of purpose beyond the club, a desire to help families in crisis. He proposed to the chapter that they formalize their charitable efforts, creating a structure for ongoing family assistance. The idea was enthusiastically adopted, and the Sacramento chapter established the Guardian Angels Fund, dedicated to helping families facing medical crises, homelessness, or other emergencies. News of the fund spread through the community, and referrals came from hospitals, schools, churches, and social service agencies. Within 2 years, the Guardian Angels Fund had helped 47 families with various crises, medical bills, rent assistance, car repairs so parents could get to work, funeral expenses, emergency home repairs. Other Hells Angels chapters heard about Sacramento's program and reached out to learn how to replicate it in their own communities. Within 3 years, there were Guardian Angels funds operating in 11 states. Media attention was inevitable. Local news stations picked up Jennifer and Lily's story first, then regional outlets, and eventually national media. The narrative of tough bikers helping a dying mother and her daughter who tried to save her with cookie sales resonated with people across the country. Donations poured in from people who wanted to support the Guardian Angels Fund. Reaper, never comfortable with attention, did a few interviews only because he understood the publicity would help raise funds to help more families. During one particularly memorable interview with a national morning show, the interviewer asked Reaper why Lily's question had affected him so deeply. Because, Reaper said, his voice rough with emotion even months later, she asked me to buy cookies with such hope in her eyes, knowing that those cookies wouldn't really save her mother but trying anyway because she didn't know what else to do. That's pure love. That's courage. That's a child refusing to give up on the person she loves most in the world. How could I not be moved by that? How could anyone with a heart not help? The interview clip went viral, viewed millions of times, and fundamentally changed how many people viewed motorcycle clubs. For years after that parking lot encounter, the Patterson family and the Hells Angels Sacramento chapter gathered for a celebration. It was Jennifer's 4-year liver birthday, the anniversary of her transplant, and also Lily's 13th birthday. The party was held at the clubhouse, with over 100 people attending, club members and their families the Guardian Angels Fund had helped, Jennifer's co-workers, Lily's friends and Girl Scout troop. As Reaper watched Lily, now a confident, healthy teenager, laughing with club members and cutting her birthday cake, he reflected on how much had changed. That scared 8-year-old girl selling cookies in a parking lot was now a thriving young woman with straight A's, a love of science, and dreams of becoming a doctor. Her mother, who'd been given months to live, was healthy and vibrant, working full-time, volunteering extensively, and dating again. And the Hells Angels Sacramento chapter, once known primarily for their tough reputation, were now equally known for their community service and family support programs. Jennifer approached Reaper during the party, carrying a wrapped gift. "Lily and I got you something," she said, handing him the package. Reaper unwrapped it to find a custom leather journal with his road name embossed on the cover. Inside, the first page had an inscription in Lily's handwriting, "For Reaper, who taught me that angels don't always have wings, sometimes they have motorcycles. Thank you for saving my mom and for showing me that asking for help isn't weakness, it's courage. Love always, Lily." Reaper felt tears gathering in his eyes, those same tears that had flowed 4 years earlier when Lily first asked her heartfelt question. "This is perfect," he managed to say. "Thank you." Lily hugged him, and Jennifer joined the embrace. "We wouldn't be here without you," Jennifer said softly. "You absolutely would be," Reaper countered. "You're both fighters. I just helped clear some obstacles out of your path." Later that evening, as members began leaving and cleanup was underway, Nomad approached Reaper. "You know what I love about this?" he said, gesturing around the clubhouse at the remnants of the celebration. "4 years ago, a kid asked you to buy cookies. That simple question changed her life, her mother's life, your life, our whole chapter's direction, and ultimately helped dozens of families we never would have reached otherwise. All because you said yes instead of walking away." Reaper nodded slowly. "I think about that sometimes. What if I'd said no? What if I'd just walked to my truck and driven away? Jennifer probably would have died. Lily would be in foster care. The Guardian Angels Fund wouldn't exist. All those families we helped would have struggled alone. But you didn't walk away," Nomad said firmly. "You stopped. You listened. You cared. That's what separates people who make a difference from people who don't, being willing to engage when someone asks for help, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable." Aftermath, 7 years later. 7 years after Lily first asked Reaper to buy her cookies, the impact of that encounter continued to ripple outward. The Guardian Angels Fund had expanded to 23 states, helping over 1,400 families facing various crises. The program had become a model for community-based family assistance, studied by social workers and nonprofit organizations trying to replicate its success. Jennifer Patterson was thriving, her health fully restored. She'd gone back to school and earned a degree in social work, now working for a nonprofit that helped families navigate medical crises. She'd also become a spokesperson for organ donation, sharing her story to encourage people to register as donors. She'd remarried, to one of the Hells Angels members, actually, a widower named Tank, who had been part of the original group that had helped her family. Their wedding had been a joyous celebration attended by the entire chapter. Lily, now 15, was an honor student with a 4.0 GPA, captain of her school's Science Bowl team, and an active volunteer with the Guardian Angels Fund. She'd continued selling Girl Scout cookies every year, and the Hells Angels Sacramento chapter had become her best customers, ordering hundreds of boxes annually. She'd told Reaper she wanted to become a transplant surgeon someday, inspired by the doctors who had saved her mother's life. That way I can save other people's moms, she'd explained, and Reaper had no doubt she'd achieve that dream. Reaper himself had found new purpose through the Guardian Angels Fund. Now 55, he'd stepped back from some of his club responsibilities to focus on running the fund full-time. He'd written a book about his experiences titled Cookies and Tears, How One Question Changed Everything, with all proceeds going to the fund. He'd been featured in documentaries, news programs, and magazine articles, always uncomfortable with the attention but understanding its value for raising awareness and funds. On the 7th anniversary of their first meeting, Reaper and Lily returned to that Home Depot parking lot where it had all begun. They stood near the spot where Lily had approached him with her order form and her heartfelt question. "Do you remember what you were thinking when you asked me to buy cookies that day?" Reaper asked her. Lily thought about it. "I remember being so scared to talk to you. You were this huge, scary-looking guy with all the tattoos and the motorcycle vest. But I was more scared of losing Mom. So I made myself walk up to you and ask. And when you said yes to the 40 boxes, I couldn't believe it. But then I thought, maybe if this stranger is kind enough to buy that many cookies, maybe he'd be kind enough to help with the bigger problem. So I asked. It was terrifying, but I asked." "I'm glad you did," Reaper said, his voice thick with emotion. "Your question, can you buy my cookies?" Those heartfelt words brought me to tears that day. They woke something up in me that had been asleep for years. They reminded me that I could make a difference, that my life mattered beyond just the club. You gave me purpose, Lily. You and your mom saved me as much as we saved you." Lily hugged him tightly. "Your family, Reaper. You'll always be family." Reaper hugged her back, this remarkable young woman who had started as a desperate child selling cookies and had grown into a confident, compassionate person determined to help others the way she'd been helped. As they stood in that parking lot, Reaper reflected on the journey. One question. 5 words, "Can you buy my cookies?" Those words, asked with such hope and courage and love, had changed multiple lives. They'd saved Jennifer's life. They'd given Lily her mother back. They'd given Reaper purpose. They'd inspired a charitable organization that had helped over 1,000 families. And they'd proven something important, that heroism doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. Sometimes it's an 8-year-old girl asking a stranger to buy cookies because she's trying to save her mother. Sometimes it's a biker saying yes when he could have said no. Sometimes it's a brotherhood of tough men with big hearts mobilizing to help a family in need. Those heartfelt words, "Can you buy my cookies?" had brought a Hell's Angel to tears, and those tears had watered the seeds of something beautiful that continued to grow and flourish years later.